guys, welcome to HVAC Startup Technicians, and we're about to start our live video. And I have some company today. I have one of my best friend talking about since we were at the age of 14, David Fleming. So welcome, David. I would let you introduce yourself and take it from here, David.
Well, guys, welcome. It's a pleasure again to talk with my partner Ernie Brave Boy. I'm glad to see that he has taken the initiative, to go live, and he has one of those intriguing topics which is running right now. How to make yourself more valuable and get better paid. And that was one of the things in my life where I wasn't better paid in the beginning, and I had to add value to myself in order to get some money. So we have some interesting stuff for you. And we're going to let Ernie take it from here and introduce the topics. And yeah, we'll start basically simple, some little old talk, and then we'll get into the meter crux because we don't want it to be too heavy for people. You know what I mean?
Yo, David, so we're going to talk about making yourself valuable. And it's a very simple topic, but it is so important. And I don't want people to miss how important value is, because as I was telling you before we come on, people go only pay you based on the value they see. As I always say, your salary is a man's opinion of you, but you have to know your value and you have to be able to negotiate and know your worth, because if you don't know that, you will take anything. And we could even talk about worth even in relationships,
Good point.
Yeah, man, I know my worth. I mean, a lot of women say they know their worth, but sometimes, hey, by the kind of guys they with, you could tell, hey, they really don't know their worth. So, I guess it might be one of these videos about knowing your worth and knowing what kind of pay you could get at the job and how you could make yourself valuable. Are you reading? Are you educating yourself? When you come into work, what's your mindset? What's your attitude in the office?
Oh yes.
So it's a lot of stuff we're gonna talk about. So David, let me just break it. I will let you break it down for them and talk about the mindset and creating value for yourself. Go ahead.
One of the things we would first touch about is value. And everybody like to think that they are very valuable. But one of the things we always have to bear in mind is being realistic of value. Somebody who may not be educated, somebody who may not have experience, they'll say, yes, I come to the table, I have value, I expect to be paid X amount. But is it realistic? When you compare your abilities to another person's abilities who is getting X amount, you might realize that you're placing a lot of value on yourself. But really, you need to ask yourself and get to the meat of things. What exactly are you bringing to the table? If you're not bringing anything to the table, you do not have value. Personal value versus value that you could deliver to an organization is completely different. So everybody has intrinsic value within themselves, based on your upbringing and some of your morals. Okay, yes, that's value. But you use some of these things to enhance your paid value, because your character, how well you take care of yourself, your dress, your appearance, those things, when you bring those value along with your skills, that is the true measure of your value. But if you don't bring some of these things to the table, then you would just be compared as everybody else with just basic skill set, and value would then be diminished, right?
Okay.
So go ahead,
David.
My boy.
So David, talk to me about that, because most times you could have two guys, even I'm in the HVAC field, and this channel is HVAC Startup Technicians, right. And you may have two guys working, and let me say one guy is getting $35 an hour, and another guy is, let me say, getting $28 an hour. And the guy, you're the manager now. I want you to put on that manager hat, and you have a guy come in and say, hey, man, David, how this guy is getting more money than me? I need more money. So what kind of advice you going to give to that guy?
Well,
because you look at another guy's salary.
well, the first problem we have here is once you have to look at somebody else's salary to realize that your value, there is a problem. That's the first problem you have. You need to know your value. And when you come to the table, you need to have the relevant information. You need to have your facts as to why the manager should be able to give you that salary, because the other person might be delivering above and beyond, right? So the question is, when you're coming to the table to a manager, you need to have the reason why you deserve a certain value. You can't come to the table saying, John is getting 35, I'm getting 28. How is it I'm not getting 35? You already within yourself supposed to know why you not getting 35. Because there must be a reason. I don't think it is just biasness all the time. There may be, but I don't believe it's bias all the time. It has to translate your dollar value into your actual deliverables.
Right.
For example, it might have a man who actually, okay, let's say the company has a program where they're actually doing training, right? It might be outside the clock. You may not get paid for it. And John, who is getting 35, might show up to this training. You may not show up to the training, right? And when the company looks at it, the company has the program, but you are not showing up to that additional training because you don't get maybe paid for the overtime or whatnot have you, right? But the investment you make in yourself is what would give you value. And these are some of the things that companies look at. Are you punctual? How are you handling their customers? Are you investing in yourself? You know, and Larry, you yourself went through that whole process there. So you know exactly what it is I'm talking about. So I would let you kind of give, where is it? How did you transition from just starting entering the field versus where you're at currently now, so that people who wants to get in the HVAC or whoever wants to transition their lives can look at your blueprint and see some of the processes you went through, some of the programs, the sacrifices you make, and the way you conduct yourself, and the standard in which you hold yourself when you're in the workplace and when you're delivering a job. And that is what a company looks for, and that is how they place value on a person. So Larry, I will let you take it from here.
Well, talking from my experience, David, one of the first thing I did as before I got into the HVAC field is I went to school. I
Right.
start with the education first, because now if we're talking about value, and you're a manager, and a guy come in here and he say, "Hey man, I want a job. I want a job in HVAC, and I'm going to school." And another guy come in and the guy say, "Hey man, I just want a job. I'm trying to make two ends meet." Who is the guy you go hire? The guy that already had the initiative and he's already in school. And
Right.
just talking about school, there was guys in there that you knew that the heart wasn't in it. And
Right.
then
Yes.
definitely these guys would not make it. I call those guys the last guys to come in and the first guys to leave. Like they don't, you could see that they didn't have an interest in what they was doing, and you kind of build a relationship with your instructors also, because every instructor kind of like a guy that asks questions. You go to school,
Right.
you ask questions. You go to the job, you ask questions. You open your mouth, you speak. I mean, even if I'm hiring a guy, I want the guy that you could get two guys. You'll be a guy, back, and you could hardly see him, but it could be the
Right.
guy that is have a great personality, and you hear say, "I'm ready to work." And
Right.
as we're talking about that, is that guy showing up for work on time? If the work,
Right.
if
Right.
the worker works at 8 o'clock and you come in 8:30, and the guy with a truck and he had to wait on you to come to work,
Yeah,
if you
we have a
show up,
problem. We have a problem.
we definitely have a problem. No,
Yes.
when the guy teach you something on the job, because in the HVAC field, they're gonna put you most of the time with a guy that is out in the field. How many
Right.
things are you retaining? Let me show you here. Here I have a book, and this red book I have here was the first book when I went to work. I
Right.
still have that book. That book right with me in the truck, and at the back of the book I have notes. So if you're out in the field, you want to take notes. You want to pay attention to what the guy is doing. So eventually you could get out in the truck and you could do it and then how you relate to customers. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? You better put a damn smile on your face when you enter the
Yep.
door. Nobody,
Oh
nobody
yes.
wants to deal with somebody that is just grumpy and and all that stuff. So you have to kind of to get the money. You can't just come and say, okay, well, this guy is getting so much, so I want that. No, people will see, hey man, you know what? This guy is coming to work, man. He doing something good. Sometimes if you're really valuable, you don't even have to ask for the money.
No.
You
I
know,
agree with you very strongly there
the
because
manager will see definitely
he
that, hey
would
man,
see it.
that guy walking, man. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
that
That
guy
guy
is
walking,
put.
and that guy
Oh,
deserve a little bit more money, man. So these
oh
are
yes, oh
so
yes,
these are the issues and how guys could get more money. But I know another thing that before I let you take over, I'll say this, that I think a lot of guys are misguided, and this is not only in our field but in every other field. I think guys concentrate too much on the money. They
yes,
come in
yes,
there,
yes,
hey man, and I want to make this amount of money, and they're mad because they're not making that amount of money. But sometimes you just have to relax, learn, and even if even if you're not, you're gonna see, you're gonna see that. You understand what I'm saying? Hey,
yes,
somebody
yes.
just text me. If oh, my wife just texts me if they don't see you. So, yeah, so they had to hi Colin if you're listening to me. So at the end of the day, man, you have to see your value, and this is for every job you are. You show up on time, and you don't want to be the guy that what call out every Monday morning. You know
Yes,
what I'm saying?
yes,
Even
yes.
sometimes you're not feeling well, you got to make this sacrifice and go, make yourself available, be familiar with the people that you work with, talk to people, have conversation, keep a smile on your face, man. I think, and work on your soft skills, which is really, really important. I know there is guys that, I know when I was going to school, Larry, I'll give you a little story. And one of my
Mm,
instructors said, man, this guy, man, he can't do shit, but I can't
yeah.
fire him because everybody love him.
You make it difficult for them,
So
yes.
yeah, so if you have two guys, Larry, let me say you have two guys. You
Mm,
have a guy, he could do the work,
right.
but he's hard to get along
Yeah.
with. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? At the end of the day, people gonna put up with you until they find a replacement, based on your
Yes.
productivity. So if you're a pain in the ass and you're on
Mm,
the job and
oh yes.
yeah, you're not really performing, man, the chance they get, they're gonna get rid of you. But
Oh
if you have a
yes.
good attitude, you come to learn, you might not
Mhm,
be at where you want to be, but you're taking training, you're reading, you're looking at YouTube videos like these and other videos, you're
mhm.
educating yourself, you're soaking it in, you're
Yeah.
talking to your supervisors, you're asking questions. That's a guys that want to learn, and that is a guy that will go further. All right, Larry, take it
Let
over.
me interject a little bit. You
Mm-hmm.
did make a very good point in terms of team.
Mm-hmm.
And any company who is hiring, they always look to see how well a person fits within the organization and within the dynamics of wherever they're going to be integrated.
Mm-hmm.
And that is one of the key values you can, it's a soft skill, and you
Mm-hmm.
can bring that to the table, and that makes a huge difference.
Right.
Someone may not be the best technician, but they are
Mm-hmm.
good team player where they could interact or get assistance from the other employees who working there. They reach out to their manager, see if they get assistance, and they're a team player, not
Okay.
hogging all the knowledge for themselves, but also helping others with knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what they look at. So you need to show yourself different. I want to iterate a couple of those points that you make which stands out exceptionally, and you hit it. You need to have heart when you're going into something. It
Mm-hmm.
does not make sense that you're doing anything and your heart is not in it. You're going
Mm-hmm.
to do it half-heartedly, and whether you realize it or not, other people would realize that you're not giving it your all, you're not genuine about what you do, you're not passionate about what you do, and you will do it any old way. You would
Mm-hmm.
not hold yourself to a certain standard. One of the
Okay.
things again you iterated, let yourself be seen and be visible.
Mm-hmm.
That is a very important point, because
Mm-hmm.
if you are looking to elevate yourself in terms of salary and position within the organization, if
Mm-hmm.
you if you are not visible to your manager, you're not visible to the organization, you're not doing things that people can see. Oh yes, Oni is doing a good job with this. Yes, David is doing an exceptional job with this. They could see it, so that when
Mhm.
you come to the table to negotiate and say, well, let's say I'm the manager, you come to me and you talk, you say, okay, yes, I could see that you have been doing this and you have been doing that. You have been doing a very good job. Yes, I think you deserve a raise. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Well,
Yep.
Larry, let me tell you, talk to me about you have a situation, because there might be guys out there that have a situation. They might say, okay, Ernie and David, we listen to you guys talking, but I'm coming to work on time. I'm doing everything I'm doing, and my manager is not giving me the promotion. I feel like I'm not getting ahead, and I'm stuck in the job, because there's a lot of people out there that have jobs. Like I said, they go to jobs they don't like,
Mhm.
which
Yes, paycheck.
which I think is crazy.
I call it.
Because this
Mhm.
is America, and sometimes the opportunity are endless, right? But
Right.
there's guys out there that sticking, they're not getting the promotion, they feel stuck, the manager's not listening to them, and they're coming out, they're working hard, but they're not getting the recognition. And then there's guys that they think there's other guys that is less, maybe let me say, invested, and it seems like because these guys might talk a lot and go and beg and talk to the manager and put themselves, like we call it in the Caribbean, we say the briga, you know,
Yeah.
and it seems like they're getting the credit. What kind of advice you will give to these guys that feel like they're working hard and they're just not being recognized?
It boils back to a couple things.
Mhm.
One, if you love what you do, you wouldn't be watching for somebody to value or evaluate or give you a value. You love what you do, it doesn't matter what happened. You carry yourself in a certain way, you would
Mhm.
still conduct your work. However, the point that you bring here,
Mhm.
someone being brighter,
Mhm.
that is only going to work for a short time.
Mhm.
Now, as you mentioned just now, there are two types of job. There's paycheck job and there's career.
Mhm.
If you're looking for a paycheck, then yes, you could be bragger. If you're looking to build a career, it has to be you want it, it's passionate, and that is how you grow within an organization, and that is how you're going to escalate and climb the ladder within an organization.
Mhm.
So one of the things you have to know is that you're working on yourself. No
Mhm.
matter what is going against you in an organization, look for opportunities where you can better yourself.
Mhm.
Sometimes you need to sit with yourself and remind yourself why you're doing this job. What
Mhm.
is your long term objective for this job, right? Because sometimes you're just looking at the immediate remuneration that you're getting, and it might be that, oh, the salary is not the best, but you know where you want to go, so you must have a target that you're aiming for, and
Mhm.
you need to know that working along that pathway to get to
Mhm.
there will be challenges, and
Mhm.
that is one of the challenges. How do you overcome that feeling? Because you can't let that feeling pull your moral down, or else you
Mhm.
will never get to where you are, right?
Right, right, right.
So you'll need to carry certain things to yourself.
Mhm.
Um, One of the things, money is a barrier. That was one of the most important thing you mentioned there. A
Mhm.
lot of people just focus on the dollar value, but as I just mentioned, you have to
Mhm.
have the passion, you have to know where you're going to, and you have to walk towards it.
Mhm.
And as we spoke about earlier on, you bring a very important point, your soft skills.
Mhm.
That is what make you stand out from
Mhm.
another technician, because everybody may have certain level of skills within an organization, but
Mhm.
your soft skills is what allow you to use those soft skills to show yourself, even though you're doing the same thing as another person, but you're
Mhm.
doing it with a different standard, a different
Mhm.
caliber.
Mhm.
You're more diligent, you're looking out for your customers, you're more customer service oriented, that kind of stuff. Because you
Right.
can't come to the workplace, as you see, with a
Mhm.
grudgy attitude because you getting 28 and Tom Jones getting 35. That
Yeah.
would definitely not help you, but
Right.
that would definitely help you get fired.
Right, right, right. Let me talk about the job, because in the HVAC field, what I've realized is there seem to be guys jumping from company to company, and I want us to just go talk about that because they feel I've seen guys make that mistake. They feel, oh, this guy gonna pay them a little bit more, this company, but eventually, if a guy is giving you more, he's looking for some value, as we talk about.
Yes,
And
yes.
if you come there and you leave a company and you go for another guy, another company, because you want the opportunity, and then when they look at the job you're doing, you're gonna get fired again,
Yes.
and then you have to start all over. So what advice would you give to guys that feel like they're on the brink, about to jump over the wall because they think they're not getting paid, they think they have value, and they're about to leave the company and jump to a new company and start over? What advice would you give to guys that want to do that right now?
Moving from company to company, you have to be careful there.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things you need to bear in mind is you are leaving a track record behind. You're leaving a trail of the places you have worked. And as a manager, if I'm seeing that Tom Jones is only spending 6 months here and 8 months there, why should I invest in Tom Jones? Why should
Right.
I keep Tom Jones on? Because chances are Tom Jones is going to leave me in 6 to 8 months as well.
You're right,
You
right, right.
understand?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody offering maybe $29 or $30, he will leave my work and go for the $30. So you don't want to set that precedent. You don't want to show that all you're looking for is a little bump in your pay.
Mm-hmm,
You have to
mm-hmm.
be very careful with that.
Right.
Notwithstanding, there are some times when you definitely need to move from one company to another. And let me
Mm-hmm.
give you an example. Someone will be working with a company for 4 years. And out of that 4 years, originally they started maybe $25. And after 4 years now, they're still at $26 or $27. That is time for you to pause and think, you know what? I think I need to get an external value on my labor, whereby you could seek or you could seek out and see what are other companies offering for my current skill set.
Mm-hmm.
That in itself gives you a gauge as to, is my company treating me fairly? Am I properly valued within this company? Because if another company having 4 years of experience within a certain field,
Mm-hmm.
I could see definitely that okay, they're willing to pay $30 or $35 as standard for that level of skill set. There are times when you need to move from one company to another company to get a large increase in pay.
Right, right, right.
Normally companies try to increment salaries by just small amounts because they believe that they have invested in you a certain amount, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they believe they have contributed to your development, so they don't see why they should increase your salary so much.
Mm-hmm.
However, you have the skill, and if you enter another company from the entry level with that skill set, you already have value. That
Right.
doesn't mean that you have to be ungrateful. That doesn't mean that you cannot be loyal to a company, right? But
Mm-hmm.
there must be some progression path that the company needs to establish, showing you that okay, Tom Jones, eh, within the next 2 to 3 years, this is your track record. This is where you're going to be transitioning to. This is
Mm-hmm.
where you're going to end up, right?
Right,
You just need to bear with us a little bit. That is completely different
right.
than you're at a dead end and you're
Mm-hmm.
just not receiving any remuneration.
Like I'll give you a scenario. Like put on your
Mm-hmm.
manager hat again for a minute,
Mm-hmm.
and
Sure.
you have a guy, and he comes in and he say, "Hey man, he paying 20. You paying him $25 an hour," and he
Mm-hmm.
come in and say, "Hey man, I went to this other company and they paying me $30 an hour. So this is the he put the note in front of you." And he say, "Hey man, what you gonna do for me? How would you?"
No, 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 no. That is definitely a no, 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 no.
Talk to me. Why?
This
Why is that? No, no. The guy is shopping around. That's what he doing. He's shopping around and he's looking for different options. I don't see anything wrong with
what
looking for options.
what you fail to realize is, as a manager, first thing I'll be watching is why is it Tom Jones didn't come to me first? Secondly,
Mhm.
once Tom Jones goes shopping, I would be wondering, okay, it's just a matter of time before Tom Jones leave. Tom
Mhm.
Jones, in the manager's eye, would be an outsider. He is
Mhm.
not loyal to the company. So what you would start happening is they may be shopping for a replacement for Tom Jones.
Mhm.
And it is just a matter of time before they figure out, okay, there is enough issues with Tom Jones that we can let him go now because he was planning to go in the first place. Sometimes what kind of would happen is they would they would give you that increase that you want.
Mhm.
The main reason is because they need you immediately, because once you vacate the position, it's a position which needs to be filled. It will take some time, resources to get that position filled,
Mhm.
right? So they may give you the increase, but in the back of their mind, they know that Tom Jones has been shopping around. Tom Jones is not loyal to the organization. And a lot of the times when positions or promotions are within the company, you would be the last person they would be thinking of.
Because you're about to leave.
Because, yes, one, you have about to leave, one, you have hand-strung them into giving you an increase. Is like you play a hardball with them. So you think you have their back against the ropes. But in the long run, is you're doing yourself a disjustice. You're shooting off your kneecap without even realizing.
Mhm.
And one of the things you need to bear in mind also is when you move to another organization and you need a reference, or companies look at this is where you have been and you're about to apply for a new job, maybe it might be at a senior level at this point. When they call maybe one or two companies that you have worked with and they try to find out and say, okay, Tom Jones is applying here now. He worked with you 5 years ago. You know, what kind of person is Tom Jones? And the worst thing that could happen is the manager or HR person said, Tom Jones hold us hostage for an increase in salary by shopping around. There is no way you could enter that door.
But David, hold on. Let me play devil's advocate for a little
Okay.
bit. The man have a wife and children to feed, bro. The man had two children to feed. The man had to look out for himself. So if you're not paying the man, he's obviously should find another job somewhere else. You can't hold it against him if you're holding him back. If you have a company and you're holding him back, and the man had children to feed, he had mortgage to pay, he had condo to pay. Look at what gas
That is
prices are
true.
right now.
Yep.
Gas prices over here is what, $5 a gallon, and the man going for you, and you as the manager. So the man look at you, you up there, you not out in the cold. The man out spending 20 degrees weather, 100 degrees weather, and he ask you for a little increase. So hey,
Asking the issue I see is not asking for the increase. Asking for the increase is fine, but the
mhm,
way in which you went about asking for the increase by letting them know you shopped around, this is what another company is willing to give me, that is the problem. So
right,
that is where we talk about the soft skills.
mhm,
In that situation, if I am the person, I'll come to my manager. I said, I have been working here for this amount of time. These are the things that I have been doing. I excelled here in my review. This was my reviews. I go above and beyond. Whenever you bring your case to the table and you said, this is why. It should
mhm,
never be that you go to another company and they are willing to offer you another pay increase. That
mhm,
should never be a discussion at the table.
mhm.
You understand?
And David, how do you get that manager? I mean, when you go there, you how do you get that manager to really? Let me talk about guys that want that money. What's the best strategy we could give them to kind of get the money, and where should they start? You enter the man, you go to the office, you knock on the guy door, you enter, hey, good morning, sir. Could I have a minute with you? I need to talk to you about an increase. How would you start that conversation? Because you can't put, as we don't say in the Caribbean, you can't put lime to catch fly, because
Yes.
you have to put a little bit of honey. So how do you deal with that to kind of soften up to get the manager to give you the money that you're looking for?
In most organizations, there's usually a performance review process, and what you could do is use that as your reference, whereby in my review over the last year or whatever it is, this is what was stated. Because in those reviews, you basically outline where you performed, what were the different things you did, and how do you judge yourself. That's what the performance review is all about. So when you go to sit down to the manager, be it and and most likely you have a legitimate reason why you need an increase, because guys don't just jump up in the night sweating out of your bed, oh, I need an increase. No, there must be some realistic situation within your life that is a little bit untenable, whereby you need an increase to make yourself comfortable.
Right.
Because what you brought up is very important, right? For somebody to perform their best in an organization, they must be able to take care of their family. They must feel comfortable that they don't have to worry about the security of their family, but that the job that they are doing is able to take care of their family. So what they focus on is delivering high quality work for that job. So what I would take to the table is, yes, sometimes you might need to get a little personal. You might say, well, boss, this is my current situation. I have this, whatever it is that's happening in my life. It's I do not want to get a second job because I believe that would take away from, the quality of work I'm able to give to you, and I am committed to the organization. So you need to show them that, okay, you're loyal, so work with me and help me overcome my challenge.
But
It's
like
not. Mhm,
a while ago, you make a really important point, and I kind of want to zero back to that point where you talk about if a guy always saying you want to leave, and I personally I'm a little bit guilty of that, because at a job you get frustrated.
yes, it
So
happens.
me and my supervisor are pretty good friends. So
Right.
sometimes I say, man, I don't know, man. Sometimes I think I want to leave them. Mind you, he's one of the guys that decide what's going on with the money. So
Right.
are you judging the guy to say that you don't want to because you said about investing in a guy? A company would say, well, you know what, boy, I don't want to put too much in the man. The man go leave you.
Yes, yes,
The man
yes.
need to leave.
One
But
foot outside the door. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. But sometimes it could be frustration though. It could be
Well,
real frustration.
and you see, that is where the heart-to-heart talk comes, right? And that's
Mhm.
where your soft skills comes, whereby you could sit down to your manager, you could lay the cards on the table. You know, you're not making up anything. You're bringing the situation as is.
Mhm.
You're laying your case to the table.
Mhm.
they they may be able to assist you, they may not be able to assist you, but in most cases, once an employee is a good employee and a diligent employee, most organizations will not want to lose that guy for an extra dollar or two an
Like,
hour.
David, be careful of what you're saying. I gotta go in with my manager. I gotta go in a couple of weeks to talk about the increase. So
Definitely this topic is for you. This conversation is
just
for
have to
you.
hope and pray that my manager never see this video. Well, I mean, but it is good to kind of have those kind of topic and letting guys know how they could get money. And one thing I will just add to that, most of the things I would be adding in and chiming on is things that I have seen by myself being out there, working. Another thing,
Right.
I don't know how you will take this one if you will think it's really important, but criticism. A lot of guys, they, hey man, many times somebody criticize them because you would make mistakes. I don't know,
Right.
I don't care what field you are in or what you're doing,
Yes.
you will make mistakes, and sometimes somebody had to correct you and say, hey man,
Yes.
boss, you messed up here, I don't like
Yes.
what you're doing.
Yes.
And sometimes the managers has to be hard on you and he has to be
Yes.
rough on
Yes.
you. He cannot baby you mess
No.
up and you have to send another guy because one of the big thing in our field is callbacks.
Yes. Yes.
And I know, I mean, putting it on the table, I had a situation sometime last week where we did a manager sent me out and we did a belt. We had to change a belt on a motor, and then the motor was over ramping. I think I did write it down, and I guess somebody didn't look at the note that says the motor need to change because it was over ramping.
Right.
And then the motor they had the same problem.
Mhm.
And he says, okay, well, I cannot charge this guy because this is the second time we go in there.
Yeah.
So how do guys talk to guys about the criticism, because the manager will have to be rough. He has a job to do, and how
Yes.
guys not get their feelings hurt. Because you have a grown man and you tell him, hey man, you messing up, you see this job you do there, I'm not because managers has to be tough. And
Yes.
sometimes we don't understand. We think that, oh, the manager is not doing a good job. Oh, this manager suck. Or this
Yeah.
manager this or this manager that. Managers are real easy. And I'm not pro management, but managers have a lot to do with. And sometimes we don't understand the amount of people he deals. He might have 50 guys he's dealing with. He might be dealing with customers. So talk to me about the pressures on managers. And do you think sometimes that employees are a little bit hard on the managers? Am I right to say that?
I would say managers have a lot to do with.
Mhm.
Um, Remember, they're dealing with a volume. So put yourself in their position. You have 50 technicians outside there. And if 30 of them mess up, that is 30 mistakes he has and 30 upset customers that he has to deal with, right?
Mhm.
Now, managers, their job is to manage and make sure that people are doing what they're supposed to do. So they're supposed to call you out,
Mhm.
but it's not just calling you out. They need to have a process in place, or they need to have things in place. It might be that the person needs a little bit additional training, a little bit more coaching to help them overcome that obstacle.
Mhm.
Because as a manager, you don't just want to replace technician, replace technician, because you have invested time and resources in that person already. So no
Mhm.
manager likes to have high turnover. So
Yeah.
they would start working with you. But you have to be careful of not building up that wall. You don't
Mhm.
want to build up that wall towards your manager
Mhm.
because they are doing their job.
Mhm.
And the more receptive you are to some of the things that they may bring to your attention or things that do not make them happy, it's a learning curve or it's a learning opportunity for you to develop. And
Mhm.
that is another part of how you add value to yourself. Because
Mhm.
the manager would realize, you know what, when I pull up Tom Jones on that particular issue, I never had to pull up Tom Jones on it again.
Mhm.
He took it to heart, he listened, and he improved.
Right.
So even though you make mistakes on certain situation, these are the things that you could bring up in your discussion when salary is like,
Mhm.
you corrected me on this, and from that period going forward, we never had that incident again.
Right.
So you
Mhm.
could use those down times to uplift yourself and show that you have improved.
Mhm.
Yes.
So talk to me. I will talk about. I said before I will be interjecting a lot of stuff that
Mhm.
is going out in the field, and some of my experiences.
Right.
One of the experiences I had is when I just started. I remember I was telling a guy, "Hey man, could you show me how to do this?" I was pretty new. I was talking about 2 3
Mhm.
weeks, and the guy said to me, boy, you know what? It's job security.
No, no, no.
But there's guys out there that think like that, that there's job
Yes.
security and they don't want to educate, because when you're out there, you run into a lot of different technicians. And remember, everybody is different. People come from different background. As
Mhm.
I was telling you the last couple of nights when we talking, is that you are the same person you was 9 years ago. You just get a little bit more mature and you have a little bit beard, and the training you get as a kid kind of say the kind of person you are, right?
Mhm.
So there's guys out there with the wrong mindset that they think, okay, boy, if I show that man too much, that man go take my job. Let me talk about kind of expand on that a little bit about guys that feel. I have a theory about it, but I would let you start with that about guys that feel it's job security, and if they teach the guy too much, he gonna take the job. And you are a technician, you in the computer field, so I know you may have trained other guys, and based on your experience, kind of give us a little bit feedback onto that part of it.
Job secure Keeping knowledge to yourself does not provide job security. Let me get that clear. Keeping knowledge to yourself does not provide job security. If you're keeping and hogging knowledge to yourself, it means you are not a team player. You by yourself cannot do all the jobs that the company have. You're showing team spirit by sharing information so other people could balance the load within the company. That is why they might have 50 technicians, right? Now, for some reason, think of this situation. You may have, and let me bring it very simple. That is like somebody who could drive. They drive in for Uber. And somebody come to ask them, could you teach me how to drive? I want to drive for Uber too. And you're saying in your mind, I don't want to teach this person to drive because they might come and start working and making more money than me. And I might go to work for Uber. But what you fail to realize is by you helping somebody else to join the team, it means that the Uber company is becoming more efficient. Two, the person itself, the person's soft skill makes a big difference because anybody could learn to drive. But what level of service are you delivering when you do a Uber? How comfortable the person feel when they're dealing with you? You might get bigger tips because you have better soft skills. So it doesn't mean that everybody is a doctor. Doesn't mean that they could deliver the same quality to a customer. And that is what you are banking on. That is where your value comes in. Because it is not just the technical skills, but it's a combination of the technical and the soft skills. And your mindset of keeping all the knowledge to yourself, giving you job security, that mindset is not entertained inside of a technical environment. The sharing of knowledge and the sharing of experience is very important. And if somebody you have taught or given knowledge to happen to escalate higher than you, you should be glad because you were influential or you helped them to get to that point. None of us as technicians started from day one with all the knowledge. Somebody would have given us some set of knowledge as well. So you're passing the baton on.
Right.
So look at it that way.
I will tell you what I've learned. What I've learned in situations like that is those guys that says that use that and says job security. They really don't know how to do the damn job.
In the first place.
It's just an
In the first
excuse.
place.
It's just an excuse. So they use that as an excuse because they really don't know how to do the job. They don't know what they're talking about. Or if they know, they cannot explain it. So it's like a cop out. Hey man, you know what, man? It's job security, man. I can't teach you how to do that. So so that's one of the issues that we talk about, man. But we really want to show guys exactly, how they could be valuable and how to make money. And but the only thing is here, would you say that making money in a company here is all about the manager and what you're getting from a manager? What I want to do here is I want to go to something that is a little bit controversial, and in the sense that the mindset of somebody. We was talking about job, and I want to kind of move. Where do this person move away from? Doing my own thing and having my own business compared to working for somebody. Talk a little bit about that with the mindset with that and how they transition, if they should transition, and give me some of the pros and cons, because there's a lot of pros and cons where guys think that I'm gonna learn this and start my own business, and it's a little bit harder than than they think it is. So talk to me about that part of it, because that part of it is no joke. Because a lot of guys think I'll just go do my own thing. Let's talk about that.
Starting your business. If you are complaining, first of all, about salary, you can't start a business.
Right.
In the beginning, you're not making much money, but you're working twice and three times as hard and twice and three times as long. Because what you have to do is build a track record of good delivery of service. And When you're now starting a company, it's not just the delivery of service, but you have other overheads. You're talking about you need to manage finances, you need to get tools, you need to have transportation, you need to have certain things in place. And on top of that, you're going to have operating costs. It is
Mm-hmm.
not an easy, it's not an easy thing. Usually, companies who now start up, it takes about 2 to 3 years
Mm-hmm.
before it really takes off and starts to stabilize.
Mm-hmm.
So for that 3 years, you have to be totally dedicated, not looking at what you're getting in return,
Mm-hmm.
but you're looking at where you're going to. Yes, once you overcome those challenges and your business is established, it
Mm-hmm.
works pretty good. You're going to get good reward, but you have to put in that effort. And it's the
Mm-hmm.
same principle you're going to put in with a company too. You
Mm-hmm.
put in that couple of years of good service first, and you would get the remuneration in the end. But
Mm-hmm.
if you can't even do those basic things where you for the couple of years within a company and you're thinking you should have been remunerated earlier, then
Mm-hmm.
there's no way you'll be able to do that for yourself because there is no one who is paying you at that point. You have
Mm-hmm.
to earn every single dollar to it. It
Mm-hmm.
is hard work, the same
Mm-hmm.
way you have to put in hard work within any company,
Mm-hmm.
and you would get the reward in the end. It's the very same principle. There is no shortcut moving from point A to point B. You have to be prepared to put in the hard work, put in the time, and it will return to you.
But what you're saying, David, we're not discouraging a guy from doing his own business, but we're saying it's a
No,
process, and he has to
it
know
is a process.
exactly what he's going through because
Yes.
people will. I mean, as I just always call job just over broke because people will give you just enough money for you to come back and work
Oh,
for them.
yes.
And but there's nothing wrong with getting to a certain position and starting and then transitioning to your own thing. But I could
No.
tell you what. Sometimes in the HVAC field, guys kind of look at that and say, this guy seems like he's gonna do his own business. And I know
Mhm.
I'm perceived like that.
Right.
This channel is a way of to give education and to learn. I said when I started this channel, I wanted to document some of the things that I could do so I could kind of look back at it as a
Mhm.
as a resume. But I've known that and I've known this and I will disclose that. But people think that, oh, you know what, look at Ernie, he's gonna start his own business sooner or later. Well, I don't know what the future holds, but right now this is not my goal to start a
Right.
business. My goal is to give education. But at the end of the day, people should strive to be better and they should strive
Yes.
to not continue working for a man for the rest of their life.
No.
You know,
You
you, you
have
know, as a big employer.
there is some at some point you're going to reach in your life where you need to sit down and say, okay, do I have enough knowledge? Am I
Mm-hmm,
at a position where I can take another step, a different level, whereby I
mm-hmm,
could have my own business and create some sort of job security and so on?
mm-hmm,
Anyone who would try to hinder someone from developing themselves, that person is not for that person, right? A lot of companies say their their employee is their greatest asset,
mm-hmm,
right? That has always been the tagline. But you have to watch that if somebody is willing to keep down their employee, are they truly looking out for the employee's best well being, right?
mm-hmm,
Because remember, even when you actually start a company of your own, remember, you're going to employ people as well. So the
mm-hmm.
same thing that you are about to do to one company, it's going to come back to you in a certain way in terms of karma. Because if you
But,
start your own business, you
mhm.
have to be mindful of
but,
those
but, 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 but,
factors.
but does employers really care about their employees? I mean, let me work it.
We
It's just a tagline. It's just a tagline. I don't really think they care about you. Sometimes you, in most companies, you're just a number and they just another body. They just want the work done. So I mean, all employers are not the same. But I would say finding a good employer that genuinely care about the employees, they might scarce commodity. I would say scarce commodity
yeah.
all day.
Um,
They want the work get done. That's it. And they will always find somebody else to do the work if you can't. But if you fall sick, how many times did the manager, the owner call you and say, hey man,
yes.
David, you didn't come to work today.
How are
How
you
you
doing?
feeling?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't,
Mm.
so that tells you what's how a company, as we're talking about value, what they think about you, because sometimes, they just think about you as a number. So let me talk about that a little bit with different
Well,
companies.
you usually you get that feeling very early up
Hmm.
because there would be situations where you're not able to come into work and you would get the idea or you would get the inside knowledge as to is the manager just calling me to see if I'm coming to work today or is the manager calling me
Yeah.
to see if I'm okay,
Hmm.
right? To see if you're fine.
Hmm.
And if you tell the manager you're not feeling well today or whatever it is, you would get the feeling as to how they perceive that. Is it
Hmm.
that they're just looking to make sure that they have another body to fill a gap, or they genuinely invested, in making sure that the employees are doing well?
Hmm.
And lots of the times is when an employee is not feeling well or not able to make it, it may be possible that, as a manager, you might be overworking that person, eh?
Hmm.
So you might be responsible for the person not being in their best health, you know?
Right.
As
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
say, the key word here is might, right?
Right. Hmm.
So as a manager, one of the things you want to make sure is that, your employees are properly compensated, whereby they don't have to do two, three jobs trying to make ends meet with their family,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Because in the long run, it doesn't pay off best for you because you might have that person trying to juggle two to three jobs. The quality of the work that they're going to deliver to you would not be as high as it should be, and they're worried about taking care of their family rather than focus on the job when they come to work. When they come to work, their mind should be clear of all external thing and focusing on your job. So you're investing not in just in their skill but in their total well-being. Eh?
But I mean, but that's a decent company. What about the companies out there that all they care about is how much money they could make? And there's a lot of guys that go to work and not just in HVAC, and they feel like, hey, all the man cares about the bottom dollar, and he could stuff his pocket and not really care about the employees. Let me look at a situation where you will talk about a place that don't have any unions. Hey man, it could be like they're working the slave trade with that guy because they had no union. Yeah,
No,
anything
no,
goes.
no. Well, you see, one of the things too, you have to be careful. You have to, it's just like a salesman.
Mhm.
When
Oh God,
I
we are
when I
using a
when I put
salesman.
when
Salesman is a
hold
liar.
on when a when a potential employee comes towards somebody and
Mm,
they think it is in their best interest, they throw you a nice sales pitch, a nice sales line, you know, they send you some good taglines, get you inside there. But when you get inside there, you need to be mindful and you need to be observant as to the culture of the organization. You need to
mm,
be you need to listen to your inner third self when you
mhm,
get tingly senses, when certain attitudes and when certain disdemeanor happens within the organization, to let
mhm.
you know whether you're in the right place or you're in the wrong place or you need to get out of there very quickly.
Okay, and you make a good point, but let me ask you now, for a guy that is out there and getting frustrated, what would you say the amount of years he should stay in a company before he kind figure out, you know what, and things not working out, this might be time to move? Why would you say, how would he know when it's time to move? And how much
Now,
years you would say he should, what he should go through, and
you
talk to me a
know,
little bit about that.
I think a good measuring stick is within a year, you're supposed to start see some investment being made to you in terms of some sort of training, right? So
Right.
maybe after you pass your probation within the first 3 to 6 months, you know,
Hmm.
either coming to the end of the first year or early in the first quarter of the second year, some kind of discussion should be had about, your personal development. Now,
Hmm.
if after 2 years you hear nothing about your personal development, you have to start wondering, are they willing to invest in me here? Am I in the right place? Are they seeing my value? You need to do some introspection on yourself to see, okay, am I doing the right things? What could I do a little bit different? Now, if you realize your 2 year barrier has crossed and nothing has changed, you get no increases, you get no training. Some companies, you may not even have a performance review or anything like that. I think that's an indication that you're in a bad situation. You need to make alternate arrangements.
and,
Yeah.
and that could get kind of complicated. But because let me just say this though, and I tell people it's your dream. You
Mhm.
go into your careers. We talk about career and job. We're talking about from a career point of view. It's your
Right.
dream. It's your goal. You're the one that should be invested in you. You shouldn't wait. I don't think you should wait for a company to invest in you. You have to take
No,
the
no, no,
initiative
no,
because
no.
you know what I'm saying. So if a company, because there's guys out there. I mean, I hate to say there's guys out there that companies not seeing the value. There might be guys out there that getting overlooked. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But when promotions come out and the guy could be working his ass off, and the guy that's slacking off, sure, like people because other people could see situation where a guy, excuse me language, effing up, and
Mhm.
he seemed like he getting the promotion. The guy coming to work, he coming sick. He have a headache. He pop 2 pills, take 2 Tylenol, come to work and just drink some cold medicine. Wash his face. He could be throwing up, but then he going back out and work.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
that guy feel like, okay, man, I'm doing all this shit for this company, and they're not doing anything for me. Now talk about that because I know there's a lot of guys that is going through stuff like that where they feel that they're not getting the value because people is just not seeing
First of all, I honestly, well, there are some bad companies. And as I say, if you believe you're in a bad company, after 2 years, you would definitely know
it. Mhm.
that this is not going to work.
But
Right?
all depends. What if a bad company paying your money now? What if the
Then
money is good?
it's
The bad
whether or not
but
you
you know,
are prepared to sell your dignity for a little extra buck. But remember, that scenario, your health might be compromised because the amount of stress you might be going through for that money, you might
Mhm.
be paying it back in healthcare later on. So it may not be even worth it
But
in the
what
long
about
run.
saying pay me for my stress? I mean, I will tell you straight up. If I have two company and both of them stressing me out and one paying me and one ain't paying me, I will stick with the one that paying me, bro.
Well, of course, it's better the two evils, right?
Hmm.
So if you're getting compensated for stress, you might want to figure out some strategy of moving from that stressful situation. You could
Hmm.
come up with whatever scheme. Maybe it might be okay, diversify, maybe get into a little bit investment or some kind of thing with that extra money to kind of start making a strategic plan for the future.
Hmm.
Because it's you can't stay in that stressful situation forever.
Hmm.
You would never be able to hold up under that stressful situation forever. So it's just a matter of time
Hmm.
before your body say, okay, I
Hmm.
can't take any more. And the minute time you can't deliver under those stressful conditions, they would be pushing you through the door, even if
Hmm.
you're on a wheelchair. You
Right.
understand?
But what about people that says, you talk about a good point about make investment. What about people that say, man, what are you talking about investment? I don't really know how to invest. I've never known anything about investment. I mean, expand a little
That
bit on that.
that is what channels like these are for. There are umpteen channels outside there that will talk about investment. Invest in yourself.
Hmm.
And it's the same thing you brought up, right?
Hmm.
You don't wait for a company to invest in you.
Hmm.
You have to invest in yourself. If it be like you spend some time doing some reviews, watching some videos, building some skills, going to some classes in the afternoon, you need to invest in yourself
Hmm.
because you cannot progress or you cannot increase your value if you do not invest in yourself. And it doesn't only have to be book knowledge, it could be soft skills, it could be communication, whatever it is.
Hmm.
Because the reason why you may not even be getting more money is because you're not communicating properly with your manager.
Hmm.
That
Hmm.
could be the roadblock.
Right.
Communication.
Communication. Why communication? If you're doing a good job, why do I have to communicate though? Talk to me about why communication with my manager is important. Do I have to beg? I will say the children of the Lord shouldn't beg the devil for no bread.
Communication is not only by words. You could communicate by the quality of job you do,
Hmm.
right? You could send a message because there's non-verbal communication, right?
Hmm.
Because it's just like your actions. If I don't have to say anything. If I come in the morning and I meet you and I smile, you realize okay, everything is good. If I
Hmm.
come in the morning and my face is
Yeah, yeah,
something
yeah.
and I didn't say a word to you.
Hmm.
So it all has to do with let your work show.
Hmm.
And if you're not getting value for what you're showing, there might be a time when you would have to definitely cut your losses and move on, because definitely outside there are great companies, but definitely outside there are bad companies as well.
But
So you
starting over
need
could be harder. Starting over could be harder. Let me talk about starting over. That could be harder because let me look about you in my field, because in HVAC you're in a truck, it's situated, you already know what the job is, and I mean I catch myself talking to guys off the ledge a couple of times. I say, hey man, don't quit,
mm,
because you know what I say, better the devil you have than the one you do not know.
yes,
At least you know
it was
exactly what
that
is going on,
is
and you're kind of familiar, you know the job. No, you got
mhm.
to go back and learn a whole new system. So
Yes,
unless you're in a really toxic work
yes, I really
environment,
yeah.
and from my experience, I don't know in your job how it is, but I think the offices are toxic in most places. I realize I try to keep away from the office. At least
Yes.
I feel it was toxic, because what could happen? You working out. What could happen in an office? Talk to me about office job and the people in the office compared to the guys that are working out in the
No,
field.
no, one of the things you have to bear in mind, in every organization is made up of people. And an organization may have a good culture, but within every organization, there are people who help uplift you, and there are people who would pull you down.
Mm-hmm.
There are people who would give you inspiration, and some people who will discourage you. You have to find yourself with the right people, and you have to avoid those that would create situations that would get you frustrated and
Mm-hmm.
escalate the situation that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, there's always sometimes a discrepancy between office people and field people. There is this stigma of, you're working in the field, you
So you're
might be
less than. You're
you're
less
less
than.
than,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you might be a little bit more dirty because of the type of job you're doing versus the in office people. But
Mm,
you cannot, once you're making an honest dollar, that should not be something to stop you from doing what you like. And that's the key point that you made earlier.
mm,
Your heart has to be in it. And
mm.
if my heart is in it, another person's opinion cannot change the way
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
feel about something.
Yeah, because you have to be careful. There's a lot of guys out here that get frustrated. They go through a situation and they get frustrated and they make an emotional decision. And I
Decision,
say
yes.
you cannot make an emotional
Oh,
decision
you have
to,
to be very
because
careful.
your manager piss you off, so you know what, you're gonna
Yes.
put in your 2 weeks
No,
notice.
no, no, no.
You know.
Because if you don't think it through properly, you might be doing more harm to your family, your career, than you think you're doing. At the moment, you might be upset, but then after maybe 4 5 days, you realize, it's not as bad as I thought,
Mhm.
and you're already sending your papers already.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
there's no recoil on that, right?
Mhm. So how
So
do you do that situation when you think that the manager is about to fire? You know what, boy, that man being a pain in me ass. That man go fire me. I might as well quit. How you go through that situation to figure out, well, is he gonna fire me? Should I quit me or should I wait to get fired? What about if is that frustration where a manager is on sticking on a guy's ass and he say, man, you know what, I can't take this. This man gonna fire me, so I might as well quit. The writing is on the wall. They want to get rid of me. How do you deal with a situation where a guy could kind of figure out that they're trying to get rid of him?
well, one of the things you would want to do is you should not let it wait. You should not wait until it reaches that situation. That's the
Mhm.
first thing. Now, when you have when you observe that certain situations are consistent with you, one of the
Mhm.
things you would want to do is you may need to have a sit down to your manager, asking them the hard question. Okay, how could I do better? What
Mhm.
is it that I'm doing wrong? How could I improve? Where do
Mhm.
you see I'm lacking? And upon your manager has to be honest with you and tell you things straight as it is, and
Mhm.
you have to take up the mantle from there. Be it maybe you need to do some extra training here and there to build your skill set to satisfy those requirements. You
Right.
cannot just sit down and wait for your manager to correct the problem for himself.
Mhm.
You need to show some initiative. And once you start showing some initiative, you said, well, manager, You mentioned this to me the last time. Now I'm taking this class. So that brings the thing where what I mentioned. You need to let yourself be seen and visible, and
Mm-hmm.
this is what I mean. When you're making a move to improve yourself, you say, "Well, Chief, I'm doing this because you indicated this to me, and here is the position I am." When you're finished, you let them know, "Okay, I went through this, and I hope that I'm able to deliver." You know what I mean? So you're
But
keeping
yeah.
them up to
Mm-hmm.
date.
But, but
Yes.
but but in terms of classes cost money too. So the guy that
Mhm.
just finished school, he might he's not getting paid enough, so he doesn't have much money. I mean, what kind of advice you will give him?
One of the things, and I'm sure the Human Resources Office would be willing to point you in some direction, or usually they would have some kind of assistance in place to be able to help employees. And as I also say, there are channels like these
Hmm.
that can help a person develop. You don't have to go and sit down in a class. It's just like an online class.
Yeah.
Somebody who have had an online class, they recorded it, and it's a lecture. You could go and listen and learn on your own. You do
Right.
not have to always just go into a class, because nowadays on YouTube you're finding anything. If you
Mm.
have a sprained finger and you want to see what is the problem with it, you go on YouTube.
Yeah, but David, that could be a little bit technical because you got to be careful that the information you're getting on YouTube is
It's
accurate.
correct.
Like
Oh
that a guy told me the last
oh
time we walked in,
yes.
he said everybody is YouTube certified.
Yes, yes, yes. No, no.
Well,
A couple of the things you have to be careful for. You need to look at people who have a track record, right?
Mhm.
You don't look at a fly-by-night person. You look at the reviews that's going on below. If somebody have watched it before, what do they have to say? How do they rate it? That kind of stuff. So you're going on peer reviews. It is not just what the person is selling you. You have to be mindful, right?
Right,
Because it's an age of technology, and you have to be able to discern when somebody is bullshitting you and when somebody is not.
right. So,
Yeah.
and another thing I want to touch on, since we're doing HVAC, and I want to touch on that because a lot of guys may be going through that in our field. We're not, we're not. We go there for 6 hours and we only get 6 hours pay because
Mhm.
so we're not salary, so we get
Yeah.
paid by the hour. Which that I'm always a little bit skeptical with that. I kind of get it from the company point of view. They go say, okay,
Yeah.
well, if the guy didn't work 8 hours, why should I pay him 8 hours?
Mhm.
But if the guy works 6 hours every day,
Mhm.
he have a family, he can't get 8 hours, he really can make ends meet. That could be
Yeah.
a kind of technical thing.
It
How would
could
you
be.
see that in terms of leaving? In terms of leaving, because I know a guy offered me a job this week, and I said, "Hey man, do you guys have job right through the year?" He said, "Well, sometimes we just let guys go a little bit and then call them back." I said, "Well, this man is a crazy man. Or what?
you,
What happened to that man? You think I was sit down and wait for him?"
with family and your family to feed. You
Yeah,
know what
so
I mean?
you got that's another thing you got to think about. If the company
Yeah.
is gonna leave, do they give you like when the slow period? Do you continue
Yeah.
to get job? Right? So
Mm.
because the company I work for, I know that we work all year long. So
Right.
you gotta take that into consideration. And sometimes, David, the grass is only greener on the other side because
Yeah.
somebody
As
else is
soon as
watering it.
yeah,
Somebody
yeah,
else watering it. So you don't water in your grass and you're saying, boy, oi, the grass over here dry, but you need to water it and you
yeah.
know.
Well, it's not only that. Sometimes you're watching it from a distance and you're looking green. When you get there, you realize it's brown. It's
Yeah,
just the
yeah,
end of the grass that green.
yeah. So I mean, guys need to find out how they could make their money, man. And kind
Oh
of, I
yeah.
want to see guys get paid better. I want to see guys
And
guys do
and
better, man.
one of the important things too, in this economy, um you need to find some alternate supporting revenue generating something. You need to have a backup,
Hmm.
right? It's important to have some secondary income in some way, be it, as I mentioned, be it investment, be it, you know
Yeah. Just
you're
one thing,
doing
yeah.
something else that you like,
Hmm.
because you have no guarantee on what's going on, what is
Hmm.
going to continue to go on, and when that moment comes, you
Hmm.
need to at least have that peace of mind that, at least I have something that would
In
keep
case, yeah,
me
yeah.
going
Mhm.
until the next transition kind of period. That is
Because
very
you're
important.
like, because today, tomorrow, if you get fired, if I get fired today, I know I'll be all right. So
Yeah,
at the end of the day, another thing is, you know, I realize a lot of managers, what they do, they use that as a, they use that,
intimidation
yeah, I
tactics.
think
Yeah.
they're over, you know, I don't want to lose my work. So what about guys that managers treat them like shit because, you know, they figure they can't find anything else to do. And that's where value come, that way value
Yes.
comes in, right?
You see, that is why I said you need to have that secondary, because if you're in an untenable situation where you're being treated really like nothing, having that second backup means you don't have to sit there and continue to take that, right? You have alternatives. You have something that could keep you going while you transition until you find something that is more appropriate.
Hmm.
And that is an important point. And it helps you also in the way you carry yourself. It
Hmm.
helps you in the way you interact with people, because they would pick up that, you know what, I can't just treat Tom Jones as any old Tom Jones. No, because Tom Jones is not the same as Tom on the other side. Tom
Hmm.
Jones ain't gonna sit down and take it. You
Hmm.
understand?
Hmm.
Yeah.
But let me talk a little bit about it because I know there's guys out there might be looking at this video and they go say, hey, the man, the what only and David talking about, look, only have your own channel. And David seems like he's doing good. He seems like he have a good job. I just say how they say he doing he's a computer guy, he a computer scientist or whatever. So let me talk about who who are we and where we come from. That might be important because I don't want guys thinking that we have it made and we had always done good. Uh, because that might be
No,
a
no, no.
misconception, you know. Guys will be
That
thinking about that, you know.
That is a total misconception. I remember when I migrated to Canada here, um, it was me by myself, right?
Mhm.
I left home, I came here, I started from scratch. I went to school for 5 years. I went to school for 5 years. Then I gradually had a job when I just left college. I had my family looking after, you know what I mean? And it took me a while to get to the point where I am now,
Mhm.
you know? So we were not always there. We came from the Caribbean, it's a third world country. We the currency in Canada and the US is 2 point something to you know what I mean?
Right,
For
right, right.
every dollar kind of stuff. So
Mhm.
we had to start somewhere and gradually build, and keeping our minds and eyes on where we want to go, where do you want to progress to, and
Mhm.
working towards that relentlessly to reach to the point where, you know, we now know what it took for us to get to where we're at. That is why we can actually do this talk show now. It is
Mhm.
not we just saying things, but it's things that
Mhm.
we actually see and things that we actually live through in
Mhm.
our lifespan.
And that's a good thing about it. I say even though my mom and them was poor, we were just at a little boathouse. You knew a lot about it because I said we were
Oh
friends
yes.
since we was the age of 14. But
Oh
one thing I
yes.
could say about Caribbean families that even when you know we might be sleeping on the floor, they kind of instill that in you that you could kind of make it. You know, you have to say
Yes.
that they could kind of make it. And even
Never
when
give up.
yeah, when me and you met, I was just saying that when me and you met back when he was at the age of 14 and the kind of conversation we used to have. I
Mhm.
think that has changed my life and has changed, you know, my
Oh yes,
mindset because
mine as well.
I came from a really, really poor. I am still not where I know you're not comfortable where you are. I am not comfortable
No,
where I with where I am. There's so much that you know that we
we need
want
to do.
to
Yes.
that we want to accomplish. So even if somebody looking at the video and they might be, boy, you know what, boy, I don't even have a car right now, you know. I'm fighting here to get to work, you know, I have to take the bus or whatever I have to do to get to work. That is just a phase. You know, I
Yes.
want guys to know
I
that
had that too. I had that,
you might be
you know.
cold and guys have to go outside there and jump on
Oh
the bus
yes.
because they can't
Jump on
afford
the
a
bus
transport.
and oh yeah, minus, and where I am in Alberta is sometimes you have minus 25, minus 30 degrees, right?
Mhm,
So
mhm,
I know exactly what you're talking about. But
mm,
that is another discussion for another
no,
show.
yeah,
And
it's right.
how do you kind of work on, gradually saving and putting aside funds and preparing for a rainy day? That
Mm.
is another topic we could definitely take on
Yeah, yeah, because
and
that's a
talk
good.
to Hat.
Mhm.
Yeah, because we actually went through these things in
Yeah,
our
yeah, yeah,
lives.
yeah. I just wanted guys to kind of understand where we come from,
Mhm.
because I don't want guys to think that, because most times, and I know I have kids too, they look at and say, "Oh, daddy doing good. Why daddy don't help me?" But
Yeah.
you don't get to just do good. You have to get to the mindset. You have to get to apply yourself, and then you have to get to kind of make more money. It's like a process. If you cannot
Yes.
apply, you can look into just get the money, and a lot of kids now, and saying kids, it seem like, oh my god, just like the last time we was kids ourselves, right?
Yeah.
but
Just
but
the
um
other day.
but other kids, they want it now.
Yes.
Oh man, give me the bag. I want to
Instant.
make
Instant.
I
Yeah.
want to make that money, but it's not gonna happen.
It's not.
So
It's not like
I,
that. It's
I,
not
wa- I
practical.
want to make sure that guys understand that you have to go to school, you have to
Yeah.
educate what one of the Calypsonians say. You got to learn today to earn tomorrow. So
Yes.
in anything you're doing, you have to kind of learn first. So that's why the channels like these are good, and showing guys exactly how they learn, how they apply themselves, and how eventually they ask for more money. So anything else you wanted to add, David, before we leave out here in
So
a little
I
bit?
think I think we have covered it all. I think we have given people enough information, and
Hmm.
we there's a lot more that is going to come over time.
Right,
Bit by
Jordan.
bit, small chunks. Take
Right,
a
Jordan. Well,
Yeah,
David, man, I thank you for coming on here, man, and
not a
sharing those kind of
problem.
expertise with us, man, and letting guys know exactly what it takes, man, because there's a lot of guys that is out there that kind of missing that point. And even me at one time, before I was kind of educated, I was thinking, hey, man, I don't need all that mumbo jumbo. Just let me know how to do the work. But the work
Yeah,
alone is not important. The
not
mindset
enough.
is important. So, um, I just wanted to
Oh yeah.
add one thing, that mindset, especially guys, when you're coming to work. I don't know, you might want to listen some rap music with cussing. Maybe you listen to some something motivation, something
Yeah.
positive, kind of get
You.
into your mindset, and try to stay away from the rumors, because bro, I tell you, in this field there's a lot of rumors, there's a lot of them say that could take you down just as just as
Oh yes.
them say, and those rumors. Hey man, did you hear what a guy say about you, man?
Stay far away from that category of people.
Hey man, that breaks you down, man. Because you
Oh yeah.
start feeding into that rumors, man, it definitely change who you are, man. But anyway,
Oh yeah.
David, man, thanks for coming on, man. And hey
Well, it
guys,
was a pleasure. It was a pleasure.
so we'll see you guys,
Definitely.
and thank you guys, and hey, I can't don't thank everybody that tune in, all the guys that stay with us, man. So we see you guys on the other side, guys. All right. And hey, if you're
Okay.
watching on Facebook, YouTube, hey, don't forget to subscribe to HVAC Startup Technicians. We'll see you on another video. All right, guys.
Okay.
Bye bye.